how to master working with the planet Neptune. So in my last video, which I'm linking below if you're interested in learning more about why the planet Neptune is really significant to work with specifically at this time, you can click on that link. But essentially today we're going to be discussing mastering Neptune through different magical practices. So a lot of times when we think about Neptune, we immediately, of course, think about water because Neptune rules over the water. But today we're going to talk about cultivating Neptune magic, not just through physical water, but also through our subconscious waters as well. So one obvious way to master working with the planet Neptune is to really get comfortable with communicating with your water. So it's kind of common knowledge that the human body is made up of over 80% water. So it's a huge part of who we are. Even though we live on land, for the most part, we have a very deep connection to water. And this is why even living by water is considered to be very desirable no matter where you go in the world. Humans want to be connected with the water. But yet, even though we need water to live and thrive, it's not very socially acceptable a lot of times to communicate with our water. So one really basic way to begin to master Neptune magic is to become comfortable with communicating with your water. Learning how to talk to your water can be really critical with stepping up your magical practice with Neptune. So for example, it could be something as simple as setting the intention with each cup of water that you drink, which can assist you to strengthen your identity as an alchemical practitioner as you charge and program your water. So I'm actually going to share a really simple prayer that you can say right before you drink a cup of water in the morning or throughout the day. You can say something to the effect of, I empower this water and all molecules within it to completely nourish me on a cellular level and a spiritual level, to cleanse me and my consciousness, to cleanse my auric field. I now activate this water with the emotions and vibrations of love, prosperity, wisdom, and security across all realms and dimensions. Thank you, thank you, thank you for nourishing me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for hydrating me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for renewing me. It is done. So saying a prayer like this and programming your water on a regular basis can literally shift your reality. So Dr. Emoto speaks of this in his research in his book, The Secret Messages of Water. And essentially his research demonstrated how the overall structure of the water particles were transformed based upon the words and intentions spoken over the water. So in his research, water that was charged with words reflecting love, peace, and gratitude were formed by beautiful crystalline structures, whereas water that was charged with negative words relating to fear and hatred ended up looking murky and unhealthy under the microscope. So as the saying goes, thoughts become things, and water is a portal that holds the intentions of what we create. So if you think about this and this idea that humans are 80% water, if we become comfortable with programming our water on a regular basis, then we are programming this portal of what we want to create as well. So making it a regular habit to charge the water that we drink and bathe in can shift the overall vibration of our day. And that leads me to the second way to activate the magic of Neptune in your life. And that's going to be through creating a sacred bath time ritual. So if you have access to a bathtub, making it a regular practice and ritual to take a bath, making sure that you're putting like Epsom salts in to support your cleansing process. Common household ingredients such as baking soda can also help you to create an alkaline etheric field through your bath water as well. And you can also meditate in the bath water if you're having, this is really great if you're having issues with developing your imagination and visualization during meditation. So taking your meditative practice to the water will inherently support you with strengthening your relationship with Neptune and your capacity to work with Neptune as well. But if you don't have a bathtub, that's okay. You can also create a sacred shower time as well. And you can do this by getting a glass spray bottle with some of your favorite essential oils and some bottled water and spraying the walls of your shower. Whether it's eucalyptus essential oils or peppermint essential oils. And this will help to give that cleansing effect of your shower as well. You will end up having a much more meditative atmosphere during your daily shower time as well. And you can kind of create this steam room simulation in order to awaken your senses and to really cleanse your etheric field as well. So there are different ways to be creative with this. So the next way that I want to talk about mastering Neptune magic is actually through manifesting through film and television. So a lot of times especially when we're on the spiritual path, a lot of us kind of stop watching TV because it can be seen as a waste of time. Sometimes TV has been utilized as a way to program the masses, right? And to kind of keep us out of the present moment. And a lot of times has kept us asleep. And this is true. This is one way that Neptune has been used to dull down the masses in a lot of ways. But that just speaks to the power of film and television. And if we're able to have a different perspective on it, I actually think that film and television can support us with manifesting and co-creating the life that we are interested in seeing. So another way that you can strengthen your connection with Neptune is through film, music, art, and making sure you're incorporating a love and appreciation for the arts of some form in your day, every day. So in my previous messages, I've talked about this concept of grind culture, this idea that society kind of force feeds us that we're only worth what we're able to produce, and anything outside of productivity is seen as being a waste of time. But I would actually argue that maintaining a strong connection and appreciation of the arts will help you to preserve the magic in your life that Neptune can offer you. And, definitely making sure that you find ways to incorporate more fantasy and incorporate more film that piques your imagination as well. So, for example, once you scratch beneath the surface, you'll notice that many movies and films share a lot of spiritual truths and spiritual wisdom. And the reason why this is done is because in many ways, the false matrix that really has been kept running through having the human population confuse fact with fiction. So the controllers of the false matrix are actually required by universal law to inform the population about spiritual truths. But the loophole is that to cast the illusion that the truth is fantasy. This way, the human collective provides unconscious consent to being subjugated through the confusion of illusion with fantasy. So the power of Neptune is usually used to cast this illusion over the masses. And I go into more depth about this in my first Neptune video if you want to take a look at that. But for example, Hollywood, even the name Hollywood is derived of a name from the Celtic Druids, which represents a magical instrument to fulfill wishes. So even the name Hollywood is really meant to describe a magical wand. And that's very Neptunian in nature, and there's no accident behind that. And that's why Neptune is ruled by the arts and by the imagination, is for this very reason. So I want to give you another example of how film and television connects back to Neptune. So when we think about Hollywood, there's also the stars of Hollywood, right? Like a celebrity is considered to be a star, which is a very otherworldly concept. And the concept of the star is the ability to be otherworldly. So this, a lot of times stars wear a lot of makeup, they glamorize themselves, they are defined a lot of times by the fashions that they wear. And this is because the whole concept of film and television is ruled by Neptune. So many blockbuster movies and popular shows are used to inform the public about certain historic or future events which are being planned for the collective. So being able to incorporate a practice where you're looking at film and television, like especially stuff that seems to be not real and super fantasy. A lot of times like superhero movies are really good. They have a lot of occult knowledge and wisdom in them. Different like fantasy movies have a lot of occult knowledge and wisdom in them. I'm actually going to be doing a series later on where I go a little bit more in depth about what this can look like. But a lot of times we are taught to think that anything that we can't see, taste, touch, or feel like with our five senses is not real, and it's just our imagination. But Neptune, and working with the planet Neptune, you really have to turn that on its head and say that everything is imagination. So, I might suggest, like, if you are interested in, like, if you're working on a particular aspect of self-development, let's say that you're looking to be more courageous in your life, you could like watch movies where the hero's doing a lot of courageous things, and kind of like manifest through what you're seeing, calling in that archetype that you're watching in a movie or in a show, and calling in and channeling in those qualities into your daily life. Something that I like to do is if I'm watching a film and, let's say one thing I've been really wanting to do is call in more fire energy into my life. So how I might work with Neptune in that regard is, I rewatched a lot of Game of Thrones, and there's definitely a lot of fiery energy in that, a lot of heroic big personalities in that. But like while I was rewatching it, I was also doing a lot of manifestation through my solar plexus chakra and working on art pieces where I was drawing concepts related to fire and related to bravery and courage and strength. And I was, working on different pieces around like how to call that into my life as well while I was watching this show, So instead of just watching the show, I was also finding ways to really put myself into the show or bring the show into my personal life in terms of the things that I wanted to see manifested. Television and film, when you're working with Neptune and when you're working with Neptune magic, can become a tool for you to utilize as opposed to a distraction from the quote unquote real world. So the next way that you can work with the planet Neptune to cultivate its magic is through getting really comfortable with working with the collective unconscious. I'm going to scratch the surface of what this is, but I'll probably be doing some more in-depth content about this. So essentially, let's say, there's a lot of talk right now around working with the shadow and doing shadow work. And a lot of times, working with the shadow and doing shadow work is essentially you finding the parts of yourself that are the most rejected or are the most hidden or seem to be the most unlovable, unearthing those aspects of self so that you can alchemize them and step more fully into your power. So a lot of times when we think of shadow work, we think about it from a very individual perspective, right? So it's just, it's a very individual process where you have to go really deep into your subconscious mind. However, when you're working with the collective unconscious, it's more about finding ways to unearth the shadow of the collective and to see how you might play into that, like how your shadow plays into the shadow of the collective unconscious as well. So harnessing the power of Neptune means starting to see that the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind, is also the collective unconscious as well. This is a concept from the psychologist Carl Jung. And so he talks about that a lot of the traumas that we've experienced, whether they've been past life traumas or inner child wounds, these are actually archetypes for traumas that the collective has experienced as well. So when we work with the planet Neptune, it's not about me, it's about the we. And so a good way to think about this is to go back to, there's a quote from the Three Musketeers movie and book, where basically they say, all for one and one for all. And so this is a really great quote to keep in your mind as you work with planet Neptune. So when you work with the collective unconscious, you're not just working with healing yourself, you're also working with healing the collective. So when you're doing shadow work under the Neptunian frequency, you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for the collective, because as you work on breaking out of a lot of these wounds and traumas, which have kind of nailed you to the cross of the false matrix, you are also untangling the webs of the collective unconscious as relates to these same hurts and traumas. And as you get free from these tethers, you also help to free the collective as well. So it's like as you wake up, your awakening causes more people to wake up as well. And so working with Neptune magic, we do shadow work on a collective level to support us with detaching from the false matrix, knowing that as we detach and as we unravel, we're not just detaching and unraveling for ourselves on a personal level, but because we're all connected in this web of life, we are freeing ourselves on a collective level as well. And to support you with this work around like tapping into the collective unconscious and doing shadow work, hypnosis and mindfulness is a very Neptunian practice that you can get into to support you with mastering Neptune magic as well. And so that is where I am going to stop for today. This is, there's a lot to talk about regarding Neptune magic. I think the next time I talk about this, we'll talk a little bit more about karma and soul contracts as well. There's a lot of other ways to work with mastering the planet Neptune and really waking up from a lot of the illusions and spells that the false matrix has cast upon us as when it comes to us, like on a personal level, but also from a collective unconscious level. And at the same time, not demonizing the planet Neptune, but finding ways to really unearth ways that the magic of the planet Neptune can work to support us with creating the reality that we specifically want to see as we continue this mass collective awakening. So let me know if you have any questions, and always remember that you are the key. And if you're interested in learning more about how to really activate your spiritual gifts and start taking your spiritual and alchemical practice to the next level, I'll leave my contact information below. If you're interested in working with me via consultation or through oracle reading, I'll be more than happy to support you on your journey. And until next time, sending so much love, joy, peace, and prosperity. Bye.